Namaste. I would like to wish you all Tashi Delek. So in the 21st century, there are monastics from all over the world who observe Yarney, and they do so in their respective monasteries. During Yarney, monastics generally avoid the following actions: eating in the afternoon, going outside, and walking on the grass. This is the common observance of Yarney. Monastics do indeed consider it an important activity. And we can also consider the origin of this tradition. From this perspective, it can be traced back to the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni. And it was the Buddha Shakyamuni who initiated it while he was still living on this earth. And so why did he initiate it? Well, during the summer, it rains heavily. And on top of that, insects throng all over the place, particularly on roadways. And grass grows in abundance. So at that time, monastics, while they were traveling here and there, encountered various physical hardships for themselves, and there was also a risk of damaging the lives of other beings, such as insects. On top of that, roads might be blocked, you might encounter landslides, in short, many problems and dangers. So in this situation, the Buddha, the Blessed One, intending to bring monastics together to improve their listening, contemplation, and meditation skills, as well as preventing many difficulties, established this tradition. The maintenance of the Vinaya depends on the triple tradition of Yarney, Sojong, and Garye. If the tradition of these three is preserved, then the Vinaya is preserved too. So when we say Vinaya, primarily it is like this. Followers of the Buddha engage in certain conduct of body, speech, and mind. And this conduct forms the principal method for taming the mind. Within this, Yarney is considered a special activity for both novice and fully ordained monastics, and considered very important. So for this reason, there is a strong connection between the Vinaya and Yarney. When the Buddha, the Blessed One, came to this world, he taught the path of liberation for all living beings, including humans. He also gave extensive instructions on virtuous ethical principles. These forms of virtuous ethical principles have to be observed with body, speech, and mind, and the different procedures for this are taught in the Vinaya. Whether undertaking the one-day mode of conduct or that of one's whole life, all four kinds of the Buddha's disciples, whether novice, fully ordained, or the male and female laity, the stages for maintaining their respective codes of conduct are contained in the Vinaya. For this reason, the Vinaya is considered a crucial doctrine. Garye and Sojong are very similar in meaning. There isn't much difference. And lay people, whether male or female, have their own corresponding ways of performing Sojong. For instance, there is the one-day vow observed by lay followers on the 15th day of the month, and whether Upavasa lay practitioners holding the one-day vow or the Upasaka laity, each have their own corresponding Sojong. Monastics, both novice and fully ordained, have their own special ways to perform Sojong too, and the Sojong which takes place at the end of Yarney is called Garye. Next, on the question concerning the connection between Sojong, Garye, and vows, The Blessed One has established a tradition for our conduct of body, speech, and mind, what we say we will do and will not do, and taught many points on what to adopt and abandon. To commemorate, recollect, engender new knowledge, and develop what we already know, we have the likes of Sojong and Gagye. This is the reason. The final question is whether or not Sojong and Gagye are important to ordinary laymen and women. For them, Gagye is not a relevant convention. They can, however, take up Sojong on the 15th and 30th of each month, as well as on any other auspicious occasion. In this case, there is no convention of Gagye because there is no special occasion of Yarney for lay people, and Gagye refers specifically to the Sojong held at the close of Yarney. As such, Gagye is not mentioned in the context of the general public. During the Buddha's time, monastics scattered everywhere, such as in different hermitages, and had to travel to a monastery. But this did not have to be one specific monastery. They could congregate at any nearby monastery, and while doing so, the senior monastics would instruct the younger. These days, monastics observe Yarney in their own monasteries. Whether in the East or West, whether Tibetan Buddhist or Theravadan, all monastics reside in their own monasteries now. In their respective monasteries, they observe Yarney for either 3 months or 1.5 months traditionally. In Tibetan monasteries, it is 1.5 months now, but in Theravadan monasteries, it is still held for 3 months. In any case, all stay in their own to observe Yarney. In previous times, monastics didn't have their own monasteries. They could go to any monastery that is close by for Yarney. Nowadays, monastics have their own gurus and affiliated monasteries where they practice Yarney. This is probably the main difference. In our monastery, it starts around the 15th of the 6th month of the Tibetan calendar. Then, we consider the exact date for starting Yarney. Starting from that day, it is held for 45 days. And during this period of Yarney, there are many special rules for us to follow. So for instance, there are the 3 daily activities. We try to develop our listening, contemplation, and meditation. During Yarney, the monastic congregation has to remain within the bounds of the monastery. One has to eat on time, and also has to refrain from taking meals in the afternoon unless sick, and so on and so forth. This is the general way to uphold the tradition, and it takes place every year. Right. There is the Tibetan tradition of Yarney, and also that of the Theravada tradition, which is present in Thailand. Also, it's present in Sri Lanka, in Burma, and Nepal. The fundamental basis of these is the same. There isn't much difference. That said, there are slight dissimilarities. So if we consider one, the Theravada hold Yarney for a whole 3 months, whereas those of the Tibetan tradition, who face colder temperatures, shorter summers, in accordance with their environment, hold the retreat for 45 days. So there is this difference. Additionally, in a basic sense, the recitation of sutras and prayers are the same, but there are minor differences insofar as Tibetan monastics emphasize the recitation of Mahayana sutras and Mahayana prayers during Yarney. Otherwise, the foundation is pretty much the same. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, Yarney doesn't differ much at all. On the whole, it is pretty much the same. There are, though, perhaps some small differences, such as in the many supplications that are recited. The supplications associated with the lineage of individual lamas, from each to each, are somewhat dissimilar. Nevertheless, the actual foundation is the same. There isn't much difference in how these practices are carried out, but these days, in some places, upon coming to Nepal and India, there are those who remain in Yarney for 3 months. The majority do it for 45 days, and the basic method is essentially the same. There isn't much difference. Seeing young monks taking vows is normal. The Buddha Shakyamuni said that those youths who reach 7 and are able to scare crows can take the novice vows. As for the vow itself, some young monks take novice vows, while others take the Rabjung vow. This isn't the actual novice vow, but the adoption of the lay vow of taking refuge in the 3 jewels. And then on top of this, there's also what is known as the intermediate Rabjung vow. Nevertheless, for those who have simply received the lay vow of taking refuge in the 3 jewels and the intermediate Rabjung vow, it isn't necessary to attend Yarney. To take part in Yarney, one must have either taken novice or fully ordained vows. This difference is there. In short, as for the young monks' vows, they may receive either the 3 jewels refuge vow, the intermediate lay vow, or novice vows. During Yarney, the most important duty, whether for 3 months or 1.5 months, is that throughout this period, all monastics must stay inside their monasteries. Everyone perseveres constantly in activities such as offering tormas, offering sur, and then during meal times reciting many dedications and aspiration prayers. And otherwise they work harder than usual on cultivating one's listening, contemplation, and meditation. During meal times, monastics make rice tormas, and this symbolizes offerings to the 3 jewels. Generally, whatever we do and enjoy, we have to offer the choicest part to the 3 jewels. Due to this tradition, we make an offering of rice at lunch to the 3 jewels, as well as to beings of the lower realms. There are many non-human beings helping to safeguard monasteries, and the remaining Dharma or food is also offered to the protectors of the monastery. To them, as well as to the 3 jewels, we give torma and make offerings. This is what is primarily symbolized. The prayers at lunches are not usual daily prayers. Indeed, most monastics do not recite all of these prayers on a day-to-day basis. That said, it isn't completely certain that there is no one doing so at all. For Yarney, we have the following special prayers. First, the Sutra on the Recollection of the 3 jewels. Following this, offerings to the 3 jewels, such as torma and so forth, are made. After this, the Sangha blesses the food and offers alms. After receiving offerings in return, then the Sangha start to enjoy the actual meal. After the meal, the Chang offering and torma are dedicated to the wrathful guardian goddess. And having done so, dedications and prayers for the 6 classes of sentient beings, the increase of Dharma, and the happiness of all beings are recited. This is the meal dedication. Following this, There's the recitation of the Sutra of the Three Heaps, which is also called the Bodhisattva's Confession of Transgressions. After reciting this sutra, there is the recitation of the noble Samantabhadra's King of Aspiration prayers. Lastly, we recite the aspiration for rebirth in Sukhavati. These are the main prayers at mealtimes during Yarney. All Shedra students participate in Yarney. This is because they are mainly either novitiate or fully ordained renunciates, that is, Rabjung. As long as one is a renunciate or Rabjung, one is obliged to attend Yarney. When participating in Yarney, not only are all regular classes run as usual, but there are also some special events held for exegesis, debate, and composition. These events for exegesis, debate, and composition should be maintained throughout Yarney. During Yarney, more time is given over to group practice, and more time spent in prayer. For this reason, Shedra students have to make some adjustments to their classes. For instance, the length of some classes might become a little longer, and some a little shorter. For Shedra students, it isn't the case that they study hard during Yarney alone. They have to follow the normal academic schedule and work hard at all times. The only distinction is that during the lunch session, which is much longer, by about an hour, some classes need to be cut a little shorter. The late afternoon prayer session is also 2 hours long, which is from 4 to 6 during Yarney, and this shortens the evening debate session. Otherwise, all daily classes, individual study, and all other activities proceed as usual. There isn't really a separate system for Yarney. Everything proceeds as it normally does. Saturday during Yarney, we hold a special event in our monastery. Probably most other monasteries do the same. This special Saturday event in our monastery concerns the tradition of explication, debate, and composition. Each year, the event alternates between focusing on explication one year, debate the next year, and composition the following year. Every Saturday during Yarney, all the Shedra students get together like this. If there are many, then they are divided into groups, but sometimes they proceed together without dividing into groups. For this, the basic approach remains to study as normal. However, because students are not allowed to go outside anywhere, but must instead engage in practices like explication, debate, and composition during Yarney, they naturally put in more work. It is hard to speak for every single individual, but most very likely put in more effort. The majority, for example, work harder on the memorization of root texts, and then on top of that, they likely work harder on composition and so on too. Other than this, the reading of texts is also improved upon. As there is less time and space for distraction, but more time and space for the practice of explication, debate, and composition in Yarney, students do indeed work a little harder. This is true for most students. During Yarney, monastics get up around 4 in the morning. Probably this time is slightly different from monastery to monastery. In our own monastery, we ring the gong around 4:15 or 20. At that time, we rise. And sometime after that, we also strike the gandhi. And at this point, everybody should, having partaken of cleansing water, then enter the main hall. The morning session starts with the 3 daily activities, the first of which is prostration. This includes praise and prostration to the 3 jewels. And after that is recitation of sutras. These are various, ranging from the Sutra of Recollection of the 3 jewels to the Heart Sutra, and likewise we recite 3 or 4 verses of the sutra condensing the essence of the Dharma taught by the Blessed One. After this, for the last of the 3 events of the day, we offer dedication and aspirations, and we also offer Dharma to the wrathful guardian goddess of the monastery. This is the main morning practice. The dingwa is a seat. Generally, it isn't easy to sit on the bare ground, and sitting on a ground requires a seat. Also, it is not good to place one's dirty feet on the temple assembly cushions. The dingwa serves as another layer to sit on. You can understand it in this way. Essentially, it is a special seat for renunciates. During Yarney, it is necessary to continuously carry out the 3 daily activities. In our monastery, we do the 3 daily activities in the morning, and then the Shedra students go to their particular morning puja. Elementary students proceed to their classes, and as for the rest of the monastics, they continue to the general morning puja that includes offering Dharma, water offerings, and other general morning rituals. Those of the administration staff also leave to carry out their own tasks after the main morning puja, but everyone must attend the 3 daily activities. The special activities during lunchtime are as I explained earlier. In the evening, all the monastics get together again to attend the evening session. It is in this session that they hold elaborate prayers and make sur offering, these are the main evening events. Otherwise, most monastics refrain from dinner except for those who are sick or have special difficulties. Except for these cases, it is the same for everyone. On the whole, during Yarney, no one is allowed to stay out. If it is a very special or urgent case, one has to ask for permission and receive blessings before leaving. In this way, the 45 days Yarney proceeds, with every 15th day including Sojong. It is the case that all young monks have taken vows. However, there are many different kinds of vow, and from among them, as was said before, the young monks primarily received the lay vow of taking refuge in the 3 jewels, and the intermediate renunciate or rabjung vow. Nevertheless, merely taking these vows does not require them to participate in Yarney, and for this reason, they can also eat in the evening, and this is not a violation. Some young monks, however, do take the novice vow, and this requires them to attend Yarney. This can be quite a challenge for some of them. Those who find it difficult to follow may even express this openly to their elders. Those who fall sick can resume eating normally again. Otherwise, most gradually become accustomed. For the first few days, they might experience hardship, but slowly they adjust and then have no issues. Those who have taken novice vows attend the morning session or the 3 daily activities at 4:30 a.m. After that, they return to their dormitories. Usually, young monks have class from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. and breakfast at 7. From 8, they start classes, and this continues until 11, at which point they have lunch. From 12:30 until 4, they have numerous classes of 45 minutes each, with a 10 or 15 minutes break in between. In the evening at 6, they have calligraphy classes, and at 7, dinner. The last class is from 8 to 9, and after that, most will go to sleep. A few might stay up a little late for personal study. This is the daily life of our young monks. Saturday is a half day, and all Sunday is free for them. At all other times, they have classes. In general, their basic topics of study mainly concern the Buddha Dharma, and they look at certain preliminary topics. Sutras taught by the Buddha, and beyond this, much on the tenet systems. They also study various subjects common to contemporary society. The main advantages of Yarney are getting to know a lot of other monastics, exchanging ideas, receiving Dharma teachings, receiving empowerments, reading transmissions and instructions, receiving transmissions and pith instructions, and accumulating merit by keeping the monastic courtyard clean. Furthermore, staying focused in one place lessens distraction while furthering the practices of listening, contemplation, and meditation. Yes, during Yarney, monastics physically participate in many difficult activities and do not go outside. As a result, they remain inside, protected from the strong heat of the sun, and develop radiant complexions. For some, as they do not eat in the afternoon, they become slim. Put another way, for 1.5 months, all monastics apply a lot of discipline to stay inside the bounds of the monastery, and engage in many activities accomplishing virtue and eliminating misdeeds. Through these efforts, even if it is difficult to speak of the existence of overt indicators in their body or speech, it is possible to detect certain signs of mindfulness and awareness in them. Otherwise, they do have a better physical complexion as they do not go outside. As said before, there isn't really a particularly special capacity of body or speech gained from Yarney. Nevertheless, as it is said, the sign of having listened is to become peaceful and tamed, and the sign of having meditated is a lessening of the afflictions. Exerting significant efforts accordingly is of benefit to the body, speech, and mind, and certain capacities may result. However, striving for the ideal encompassed by this statement, the sign of having listened is to become peaceful and tamed, and the sign of having meditated is a lessening of the afflictions, is a general goal for all of us. I do not think this only applies to Yarney. Okay, we'll stop here. I would like to say thank you to you all, and wish everyone Tashi de Lake. Yarney is considered a monastic activity, but it can be practiced by anyone outside of a monastery. It is a method to enhance the virtuous moral conduct of all humanity and other sentient beings. Through this virtue, may all beings be free from both temporary and ultimate suffering and attain Buddhahood. Thank you. Tashi Deleg. Namaste.